A very good afternoon to everyone on another session of WiTalks. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Ruchira Bhardwaja, the Chief Human Resource Officer of Kotak Life Insurance Company, on leading with compassion. Ruchira has over 25 years of experience spanning across diverse industries, which include manufacturing, consulting, hospitality, retail, banking, and insurance, and multiple functions, which have been instrumental in shaping her learning and the realization that agility has to be constant in her life. Apart from human resources, Ruchira has had the opportunity to contribute towards new product development, business excellence, knowledge management, and business ethics initiatives in the organizations where she has worked. In the past, she has worked with the Tatas for 14 years across companies like Taj, Rallis, and Chroma. In the BFSI industry, Ruchira has been with Axis Bank and Future Generali India Life. She is an alumni of IRMA and Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies, where she is now a visiting faculty. She is also a global fellow, talent management from the Wharton School. Ruchira lives in Mumbai. She creates time to learn and hone new skills outside of the workplace. On a lighter note, she is an avid photographer and considers herself a decent storyteller. As you have heard, Ruchira brings an interesting combination of strategic HR and cross functional expertise. On behalf of Vitesh, a very warm welcome to you, Ruchira.
Thank you, Shatrajit.
Ruchira, Vitesh, as you know, works very closely with different organizations in the DNI space. That being said, I am sure our viewers would love to know about your journey in the world of insurance and financial services as an HR professional.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Shatrajit. Really happy to be here. There have been two organizations. This is Kotak is the third organization in the financial services industry that have been associated with, and the other two, which is Axis Bank and Future Generali, were actually at the cusp of transformation. And for an HR professional, that's a huge platform because it provides you amazing learning, amazing insights, and also kind of sets you up for either failure or success. Fortunately for me, both in Axis Bank and in Future Generali, an HR could play a huge role in the entire transformation journey. And both these organizations also saw a huge growth during these years that I have been there. So 5 years with Access and another 5.5 with Future General. And what we also realized that HR and the people practices of HR actually became the fulcrum on which the transformation journey was being pivoted. And as a result, you become actually the core and the central, all your people processes become core and central to the work that the organization is doing towards growth, towards stabilizing, towards making work happen at the pace that is required and mandated by the board of both these organizations. When I joined Chaturjit Axis Bank, I was leading a three-member team. I was managing the performance management system for the organization. And within a year and a half, 2 years, compensation and reward got added to my portfolio. So it really gave me the entire plethora of the inside out of an outside in perspective of what banking is all about, right? Because and then of course I went on to take up different roles there. Both these organizations, both Axis Bank and Future Generali, there were three things that became very crucial and they became a part and parcel of my professional being, so to say. One was it was an early foray for me into technology and understanding that how technology really makes life easier for the stakeholders and also for my team and how I can leverage technology to make the entire HR strategy around it, or rather technology which is aligned to the people strategy that the organizations have chosen. The second thing which also happened was the data and the analytics piece, and they really became the base of decision making. Even now, my team, if you meet them, they will say, I absolutely do not move without facts and figures, without data being analysis of the data, the insights from the data being put in front of me. That really became a part and parcel of my entire professional journey. The third thing, which in fact the managing director, the then managing director at Axis Bank, Shikha Sharma, she said, communicate, communicate, and communicate. And that really became the third pillar, I would say, to say how to manage change, how to take along people when you are transforming the organization. So yes, very fond memories, and of course, past about almost 6 months now, I'm with Kotak Life, and these three: technology, data, analytics, and communication, I think, are going to stay with me.
That's excellent to hear, Ruchira. So that actually, it's an excellent segue into the next question which I have for you, which pretty much talks about your leadership style now and how over the course of your entire journey has it evolved. You know,
All right. So, who am I as a leader? That's a difficult question. What's my style? And many people do ask, and I have also tried to contemplate saying, what is that? Actually, you should ask others what really is my leadership style. Am I inspiring? Am I authoritative, or am I empowering? But I think I choose to be any one of these. I choose to be empowering at one point in time, but also another point in time, I choose to be authoritative, and etc. etc. But if I have to choose one thing that I think defines me as a leader or defines my leadership style, I'm sure that it is going to be that I am adaptable, I am flexible. One thing also, apart from that, one thing that has not changed much over the years is the focus on delivery. I'm a person for me, commitment is a commitment. I do not shy away from committing. I do not shy away from then ensuring that I live up to that promise that I have made to my stakeholders. And stakeholders could be anybody, it could be even a team member, and of course my colleagues and overall the entire organization. It could be an employee, a frontline sales who might be reaching out to me and asking me for a particular suggestion or a help. If I go ahead and I do commit saying by so and so it's going to happen. So these are, I would say, something which are as my leadership style. There are other things also, and I must add, Shatrujit, here that I have also become a little selfless over the years. Earlier, I used to be bothered about my bonuses and my ratings and such things, but over the years, almost past 12 odd years, is where this entire selflessness has come into my being and my work. And as a result, what I have realized that my work also has improved. My delivery also has improved since that has happened. It has helped me to reach out to people, ask silly questions, collaborate with them to get the work done, or delivering, as I mentioned, to them. That's something that I think is very important for me. And the other thing I think is I do not compete with others. I do not believe in competition. This is really right from my childhood. I must mention this here. When I used to come out of examination hall after giving a particular paper, and I would be saying, I have done everything, I have done my best, and that's it. So others when will be comparing notes, and others will be figuring out what is the kind of marks they are going to get. I would think that I have done my best, and that's about it, and then move on to the next subject and next examination the next day. So yes, that's what has continued with me, I suppose, in my way of working in the corporate world, Chitrajit.
that's lovely to hear, Ruchira, and also something which we all should kind of bear cognizance to in terms of our wellness and also obviously making sure that whatever we do going forward is kind of more towards your own well-being. And with that, I would also like to ask a question regarding the well-being and the mental well-being of leaders who are at your position already, and who are trying to get where you are as of now. uh, what what how to look after one's mental well-being while you're in those senior leadership positions, because it's not about it's about you as a human being at the end of the day, and it's equally important to make sure that you are you are looked after, and you are you know taken care of mentally, and that's the most important thing. And leaders have a much larger role to play. There's much more on their plate, and I just like to know what are your thoughts and you know about mental well-being.
Shatrujit, I think you have raised an extremely relevant and important point, and not just for the leaders, for everyone. The mental well-being, complete well-being, is very critical. Whether you are in the corporate world, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you're a student, whoever, whichever level you are, right, or whatever you are doing, that's very critical. For the since you spoke about for leaders and leadership position, what is the kind of well-being? What do I do? So I have an ABC for this. All right. So A is awareness, being aware about my moods, about my strengths. I have always believed that one should take strength from the strengths to work on our areas of improvement. And that has really brought me well over many, many years, right? In fact, I'm aware if my mood kind of slips, and it's getting into a negative zone, or it is getting into a not so positive area. I'm aware and saying, oh, this is what is happening to me, and as a result, I need to stop, or I need to rethink, or I need to kind of step out of a meeting, so to say, or step out of from a discussion, so to say that yes, that piece is important for me to be there in that zone, right? And being aware. So that's A. B is, I think, breathing and doing it very consciously. It's important. For example, just now that I'm talking about breathing, I just realized that this entire tension of answering your questions and listening to you, I may not have taken a deep breath. I may not have, and I just realized, so I'm going to do that, right? So and that helps me to picture things, to be aware about my surroundings, to think clearly, to also plan very clearly. That So the B is the breathing. C and I there C, I would say, are the two things: confidence and curiosity. And I'm going to refer to Adam Grant, and I've been reading his work for quite some time now. He says the balance between confidence and humility is extremely good, right? And I believe for one's own mental well-being, that having that confidence, saying it's okay, whatever you have done is fine, and then you move on. And be also curious about saying, what is the world doing? Can you do better? So that you always know that there is, it helps you stay grounded, right? It helps you not to take too much of pressure, saying, oh, if you are not the best, but that's okay. You can always learn, and you can always grow, and you can always better yourself, right? Instead of getting tensed up, saying, oh my god, I'm not doing well, right? So that's these are the three things: A, B, C. But there are other uh, which I practice, and I would like to share that, Shatrujit, is I have a life outside of work. And I keep telling my team, and especially people who take themselves so seriously and really, would not want to take breaks and such things. I keep telling them that a company or a role does not define me, Ruchira Bhardwaj. I'm so much more, right? And you spoke about, I do photography, I travel so much. For example, last weekend, I went to a nearby village and we went on a night trek and just got enamored by fireflies, which were around us, right? Or the entire biodiversity piece. So there's so much that the world and the surroundings have to be giving to you. And if you're aware, if you're breathing, and if you're confident enough, you can really soak in that. And you're curious enough, you can soak in that and keep into your mental space, which helps you balance, I would say, the tensions that come from
Right.
work or managing family and such things. Yeah.
Interesting. That's actually very good advice. Thank you for that, Ruchira.
I
You know,
must also add one more thing. Sorry, Shatrujit, for
please
interrupting.
go.
Is I also do not fret too much about what others think of me, all right, or what others might be thinking of me. So that's another thing that I have.
That's
I
valuable.
compartmentalize things. Yes.
No, no, that's very valuable. And that actually gets me to empathy. Again, something which we all talk about, and we often say that empathy is the skill of the future. But this also creates a huge opportunity for inclusion of women in the C-suite. But we don't see that happen as often as it should. What would you suggest women as well as men as allies do to make this, kind of come to fruition?
I'm glad you spoke about empathy during the COVID times. I think empathy and empowerment became hallmarks in most of the organizations. Shatrujit. It helped eliminate a lot of bureaucracy in the organization. It helped cultivate a very flexible mindset in leaders. It also helped in accelerating the organizational learning as well as individuals' learning. It also put people at the core of organizations, right? And these are the things I think we would need to nurture as leaders, whether it's a man or a woman, need to nurture and strengthen these aspects. Post the pandemic, there's another piece which has also evolved, which is the pressure of delivery is back now, right? Meeting the targets, the numbers is back, and mostly at that point, during such, and especially now, the entire piece about connectedness, entire piece about collaboration across teams, across within teams and across teams, across functions, has become extremely critical. So that is one thing I think for these are the two things that got to be nurtured, right? It doesn't matter whether you are a man or a woman. Um, but on the so to say for women leaders to thrive in senior leadership roles, especially now, it's this, right? This one is the simplest piece. Uh, and these might be true for all leaders. However, for women, this might come come as a tad bit naturally. I might be stereotyping, but believe me, it matters. It matters that our innate ability to, as a giver, as a nurturer, is back into reckoning, is back post the COVID world. Currently, it is back into reckoning. So it is about keeping teams, uh, organizations, our customers, our their interest, their best interest in our mind. It helps us to design a solution. It helps us to design new products, be innovative because we're listening and we are wanting to give back to our stakeholders, to the society at large also. So that is becoming important. Yeah.
Interesting. That's very, very insightful. Thank you. So you had touched upon this COVID-19 and the kind of role that it is playing, and the kind of new practices, and uh, you know, with people working outside office, and this whole thing about work from anywhere. Uh, what role will leadership play in bringing these people who have now kind of gotten used to work from home and work from anywhere kind of a culture? Or are companies also thinking about this hybrid model of coming to office maybe once in a while, and and probably working from home most of the other times? What does leadership, how does leadership play in this area?
Yes, Shatrujit. So, as I mentioned earlier, post the pandemic, the scene is slightly different. The pressure of delivery is back, right? As I mentioned, the meeting, the target numbers is back. So, that pressure is back. But the entire the connectedness and the collaboration, the empathy and the empowerment that happened pre-COVID, or rather during COVID. It was during COVID that these things became core for an organization. Um, I think that needs to be strengthened. Okay. Uh, I remember when I was growing up, and until such time as 24th of March 2020, just before that, sharing our tiffin boxes, our playgrounds, our teachers, our notes, our desks, our rooms, our food, our bikes have always been at a core of our being, right? So that's how we have always operated. Can we bring that back into our boardrooms? Can we bring that back into the management committees? Can we now, and that's something I would say that entire collaboration piece has to be strengthened much more, because we are now dispersed. We may not be meeting every day, everyone, as we were doing before 24th of March 2020. So can we bring that together, that idea of building things, idea of and that entire ethos of sharing ideas, sharing concepts, sharing the space in the hybrid workspace, Shatrujit, we know for sure that we might also have to share space, because cost has become a huge concern for organizations who want to bring back the lost targets that they might have, the lost business that they might have to endure with. So that's becoming kind of a sharing and collaboration is one piece. The other piece, of course, is the entire connectedness, right? How do I connect with my team members who are scared at this point in time to come back, not because they are scared of the pandemic and the COVID-19 virus, but they might be scared because they're aging parents at home, or they might be younger children at home, and they do not want to expose them to the virus because they are going out and working. And because of that, how do I really connect with those people? How leaders are able to thrive, the leaders are able to get the business deliveries on the table, and back with full force to make it happen, right? And I'm seeing more and more happening. I have amazing examples from my organization where people have gone out of the way, Shatrujit, to help others. We call them COVID warriors, any whatever name you want to give them. They this the managers, the leaders are going actually out of the way to see that work gets done. It gets measured also, but in a way that is comfortable for everybody, right? We know for sure, for example, mothers or parents, not just mothers, because the daycare centers are not open, or even schools were not open. Most of the schools were not open till just about day before. Where do the parents keep their children while they come back to work? So there's much more empathy and much more. I would see it's there, and that is helping for people to collaborate, people to stay connected, and also meeting the targets. I think that's um, but also there's a challenge. At one point in time, there are leaders must also be grappling with saying that there are people who may be taking it easy. So how do you make it work for them also, so that they understand that delivery is important?
That's very true, Ruchira. In fact, it's not only about a new normal; it's also about a new challenge, which uh,
Yeah.
really every leader is kind of facing in today's world. I feel that this challenge will continue for a while. And having said that, what do you think are the three habits that women leaders, or leaders for that matter, who are kind of trying to take up the senior leadership roles, what are the three habits that you would recommend, taking into consideration the new normal and the new challenges that we have at present?
All right. I think the first and foremost, it's about not letting people to push you around. I think that becomes extremely critical. And even if they do, don't take it to heart. That also becomes extremely important, that one doesn't feel bad about it, right? Saying that, oh, I'm not being able to make my point. Raise your hand. Make it a habit to raise your hand. Make it a habit to let people know that you want in, and you have a point of view, and be absolutely persistent, right? I'll give an example, and it happened way early in my career. I was with Taj those days, and I remember I was traveling, and in one of the airports, I got one magazine which was talking about knowledge management. Those was the time also where the Tatas were talking about knowledge management and how explicit and implicit knowledge has to be captured in order to get the pace of innovation, get the pace of growth really right. And it picked my interest, and I wanted to work on it. I went to one of the managers and said that I want to work on this, and he said, all right, and let's discuss. Okay, so I raised my hand in a way that I went to him and said I want to work on it, and he said, okay, let's discuss. And I left it that. I thought he's going to call me to have the discussion. It didn't happen for about a week or 10 days. And that's the time I said that, okay, let me go back and have again knock at his door and saying, can we have that discussion? He said, yeah, yeah, sure. Even I'm very interested in on working on this. So let me know your thoughts. So I just about babbled something, I still remember. And he said, yeah, okay. So he was dismissive. And that is the time I realized that I need to really make a plan and go back to him so that he understands that I have a thought on this, and I can do this, right, and I want to do this. And so to cut the long story short, it so happened that I finally was actually I implemented the entire knowledge management platform for the entire Taj group of hotels, and there were almost 70 hotels, training, creating the entire prototype, getting a vendor to work on it. And those days we created a solution which was a kind of a web-based app, intranet-based app. And this I'm talking about 15 days, 15 years earlier, right? So, and he found value when I went back with my thoughts and my deck and everything. He found value in it, and he said, okay, Ruchira, go ahead and do it. So I think that's one habit I think we should uh, keep nurturing. So if we want to thrive and grow in our leadership roles, as not just women but men also, but yes, so much for more for women. That's one. Earlier I was talking about our innate ability to be a giver and a nurturer. Again, disclaimer, I'm not trying to stereotype. I think this is required for all leaders, but it is in us, right, within us, or rather, let me put it this way, most of us. What it helps us is, it helps us in setting the pace, getting the quality of the work at a better scale level, and it also helps us grow at a different level. All three things are important, right? You would agree. Uh, yeah. So
Great.
never give up. Raise your hand, and be a giver and be a nurturer.
Some excellent points have been raised by you, Ruchira. And and I'm actually, while we are speaking, I'm looking at the chats, and there are some really interesting questions which have been asked. Let me start with slightly light-hearted one, which is,
Sure.
what was your inspiration when you started your career? What led to you taking the path that you are on?
All right. So my inspiration was, there were two people. One was my boss. He just let me do whatever I wanted to do, empowered me. In fact, I must share with you, Shatrujit, I was earlier in sales and marketing. I used to do market research. I have traveled the nooks and corners, the rural area, because those days I was part of agrochemicals company. I have traveled with sales officers to villages, have had chai on charpoy with And Badlands, by the way, though now these are called Badlands. Sorry, I'm again not
Mm.
stereotyping, but and so I'm not going to take name of the region, but I've traveled and stayed with villagers and such things. So my boss and the other person, my father-in-law, my husband's dad, he has been extremely inspirational. He would come back and he would share his thoughts about how a professional should be. In fact, he inspired me to keep going back to school. So I did my MBA from IRMA, and then I again went back to school, and that's where I went to NMIMS. And again, I went to NMIMS was, I think, 2007 or 9 I think. And then 2019 again I went to Wharton. So yes, these are the two people who have really inspired right at the beginning of my career, saying, grow. One more thing I think my father in law used to say, saying, once you grow and you start doing good work and you grow your team, and the team starts knocking on you at your heels, that's the time you know you have to move up and you go to the next level. So, developing your team, be inspired really to really leave that legacy behind wherever I have gone. Develop a team and then leave it to them to take it forward.
Very interesting. That's always, it's always good to have inspiration from people who you're very close to. I think that's extremely important. And and since you're talking close to home, how one more question has actually come. How would you handle conflict between what is good for your career and what is good for your personal life? I'm sure you already touched upon it slightly, but if you have any insights for our viewers, would love to hear that.
Uh, so the mantra has always been Dipali, right? Dipali asked that. Dipali,
Yeah.
great question. I think all of us have grappled with it all the time. For me, it has been saying, asking for help, right? Asking for help either at work or either at home. I have a huge support system at home, and has been that support system has been at home for the longest time. And I'm not talking about my family. These are my cook, my driver, my the person, and they're my support people. They know exactly what I want, and they are always there for me or my family. So asking for help, I think it's very important. Sometimes just going to your husband. I have had fights, by the way, fights with my husband. My daughter has not been well, and I have to travel and to an outstation location because there's a strategy meet happening. And my husband also, there's some important meeting that has come up. And I dialed help to my mom-in-law and saying, would you come and take care of our daughter? And luckily for me, I've been extremely fortunate that she has always been there. But I have asked for that. That is one. The second thing is, I have made peace, right? Even if I do not, get the choicest of meal cooked by my by Jayashri, who works at my place, I'm fine. I mean, she has done her best on that day, and I have made peace with certain things. The things, of course, I don't compromise is the quality of my life, whether at work or at home. So that is something I need my me time, and I've told this to everybody, saying I need my me time, and they're fine. So, kind of partnering with everybody, saying this is
Yeah.
my me time. In this organization that I joined, Kotak Life, I saw that people are working so hard, which is the case for all the organizations. And I wanted everybody to have a peaceful meal. And so we said that 1:30 to 2:30 is our silent hour. Whatever you want to do with that silent hour, it's your choice, right? Whether you want to make a call or you want to finish your lunch or you want to sit with your kid, it's your choice. But we said that's one offering that we are giving you. So, yes, so through processes and through well-meaning processes, so to say.
That's actually a lovely initiative, and in fact, I hope more and more organizations start picking on this. Which actually leads me to another question, which has been raised by Shubhra. That how do you motivate employees to do the best to sustain business, at the same time having compassion for their Sure. So much for this.
Right, Shubhra, thanks for the question. This is a I do not have a like a astra, like I do not have an ABCD for this. But what has worked for me always is keeping them um, at the forefront and not keeping my interest at the forefront. And I have seen every time I have kept the person's interest, they always motivate, they stay motivated, they stretch, and they deliver at an amazing level. And the standard of work has been always amazing, and that has to be done with a lot of genuineness. One cannot not do it with a fake saying that, oh, I have the best for you in my heart, but so one has to really walk the talk. So that is one, I would say, Shubhra, that has worked for me. The second thing, which is there, that always think of what is the other role that the person can do? What are the other areas that the person can strengthen? What are the growth opportunities that you can provide to the person, either within your own team or outside your team, right? So that also helps. Reaching out, and as an HR head, I do not need to only do it for my team. I have to do it for the entire organization, right? For all the people. So putting up a structure for that always helps. Having a structured approach for that. So that's the and the third and the final thing. I have my I would say a calendar that I keep where I have to reach out to people all the time. Of course, during COVID, the travel has come down, but over again, Zoom calls or Microsoft Teams is something that I ensure that I'm reaching out to people, just to listen to them and saying what is that they want, right? And if I'm able to get it delivered as a promise, as I mentioned earlier, for me, it's promise is a promise. So that also motivates people. Saying if the organization is giving you something, they also then give back to the organization. But is it a foolproof process? Does everybody stay motivated all the time, Shubhra? No.
Very, very valuable, and I'm sure for our viewers, this is something which we can pick up and at least try and implement. That's excellent advice, Ruchira. There's one more question from Vaishnavi regarding returnee women. Now, people keep talking about it being as the buzzword. It's not a buzzword; it's a requirement. And what she's asking is that what advice would you give to women who are returning to the workforce?
Uh, Three things, Vaishnavi. One is articulate what do you want, at what time you want, when do you want. And all this is the what and the how and the when and the where is important, because it is not only for the organization to make life easier for the returning women, but also for you to understand and the returning women to understand what is that they are getting into or what is that they would want to get into, right? So that's important. So articulate that. The second piece is, and I have this ABC way of looking at things. So that's A, articulate. B is broaden your horizon. Horizon in terms of your thinking, your capability, your skill. Can you look beyond and saying something that somebody was working on at a particular point in time when they took the break, and now want to come back to work, and whether full time or at a time of their choice. It's always good to broaden that horizon, saying that these are the opportunities that might be available to me, and I can hone those capabilities. I can hone a certain bit of my mindset in terms of understanding what might be happening in the corporate world or wherever one wants to be, so that they are relevant. So that's B. And the C is choose very intelligently, right? Because what, unfortunately, currently we are still not, and we am saying people like such as us who are working in the corporate world, we still choose to be biased towards people who have taken break, right? So choose wisely where your skill, your ability will be nurtured. It will be seen, right? So that's my ABC: articulate, broaden your horizon, and choose intelligently.
Great. That's excellent. And I think something which you don't need to be a returnee woman. I think it's something which applies to all of us. Uh, and that gets me to another question, Ruchira. This is from Navita, and she's asking, how do you come out if you are stuck somewhere in a career path for future direction?
So, couple of things that you can do, Namita. One is, do you have a mentor? If you have a mentor or a sponsor, right? Better than mentor. If you get a sponsor, and sponsor not as in an organization as a sponsor, a person as a sponsor, right? Reach out to that person, uh, make that person accountable for your growth. That's important because many times we do not reach out, we do not ask for something that we think we deserve, right? And who in the organization is that person who can help you to navigate the the difficult charters of growing into the next role or a next level. That I think becomes extremely critical. Keep your ears and eyes open for opportunities that might be happening in the organization and which you may lose out if you are not keeping yourself abreast with the new changes that might be happening. That also tells you, for example, what might be the new projects or what might be the new initiatives that the organization is thinking of. That knowledge management piece that I spoke about earlier. No, it was not that I was stuck, but it was something that, wo andar say, from within you want to do something more, right? And when you want to do something more, you have to find ways and means to get into that space. And once your ears are open and you know exactly what is happening within the organization, you know what are the opportunities which are available. Now that we are working in a hybrid workspace, or if you are working remotely, the chances of getting to know something like this might become a little difficult, right? And hence, again, you have to make that extra effort, I would say, to figure out who are the people you need to talk to, who are the people. I mean, people talk about networking, right? And everybody says networking is important. I think networking is not such a difficult thing if you have the habit of just reaching out by way of work also, right, to your colleagues outside of your function, and expand your horizon. Things become a little easier, so to say. I can give you my example where I have got stuck. I have changed job, right? I have said that this is where Navita, I know. I mean, there's whatever I wanted to do, I have delivered, and the team is ready to take up and is knocking at my heels to deliver at the level that I was delivering. And said, okay, let me do something else and move. And being in HR, it helps. The industry is becomes agnostic, so that way I have been a little bit lucky, so to say, Navita. Have I answered your question? I hope I have.
I
These are
think
such difficult things, right? All of us grapple with, but just relax and maybe go with the flow sometime. That also helps.
lovely. Uh, Ruchira, I'll take one more question from the viewers. This has come from Tanuja Punapa from IBM. Uh, she's asking, what extra or what more should a physically challenged, ambitious woman employee do to be able to break the ceiling?
All right. First of all, Tanuja. Tanuja, all of us are challenged, right? I am challenged. I'm a differently abled person. I can't drive. Okay, so I'm challenged that way. So thinking in a different way. And let me also put it a disclaimer here. For me to understand it and trying to give an answer about this, I must confess that I'm not equipped, because though I have tried, but I have failed miserably to understand what is that a person needs to do when a person is differently able, in order to grow, in order to break the glass ceiling, right? In order to break the ceiling. And hence, I always say that to look from a point of view saying everyone else around us is also uh, has is differently abled, right? For example, I cannot drive, so there's a challenge with me there. Or for example, cannot speak a particular language, or rather, I'm very bad at picking up languages. So that's a challenge for me there. And once you say that there are others like me there, they might be differently able. It's just so that my ability is something different, and that person's ability is something different. That's something that comes to top of my mind. The other piece is walking up to HR, right, and have and ensuring, or rather enforcing, saying that the HR department comes up with a policy, a written down mandate, guidelines for something like this. I'm so glad that the world around us is now waking up to this, and there's such amazing work that is happening, Tanuja, across many organizations. They are pioneers who have been doing this work. And now that we are talking about inclusion and diversity in such passionate ways, and it is now coming to the boardrooms, right? And once the senior leaders start talking about it, they start putting mandates and targets for this, the job becomes easier. But I think maybe the second thing, as I mentioned, is going to HR and saying that what are you going to do? Put up a policy around this. It is important that we do that, right? And of course, the entire. I am sure I have not been able to answer your question, Tanuja, but as I said, I'm so ill-equipped to answer this at this point in time. But I'm promise to myself is I'm going to get there. I'm going to understand this piece uh, much more in deep.
Okay. Uh, Great. Thank you all viewers for the questions. And being mindful of the time that we have, I would like to ask one last question, which is, what is your go-to leadership mantra?
Okay. Well, that's simple. It's I'm as good as my team. So
Lovely.
if my team is amazing, they make me look good. Shatrajit.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure the team is absolutely amazing, and we can see that. With that in mind, Ruchira, thank you so much for your time here today. We really appreciate all that you've spoken about, and I'm sure there's much more, but unfortunately our time has run out. So I'd just like to thank you once again for your time, and we hope to connect again soon.
Most definitely. Thank you for the opportunity, and all the great women who are here, or men, I'm not sure. I think most are women based on the comment box that I'm seeing. Love to be in touch with you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. And yes, we should be in touch and learn from each other. I'm sure you have amazing answers, you have amazing insights, which I can really be motivated with, and I'm sure you have inspiring stories to tell. Would love to hear those. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ruchira. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.